All right, welcome to Lapeef for Let's Talk. I'm here with the crew, Anton, B Nix,
What up? What up?
Tawana,
Hey y'all.
and we have a guest from our Facebook group, Danielle. Welcome,
Hi.
everybody. All right, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're going to jump right into our first topic, which is what makes a woman cheat? What makes a woman cheat? I'm going to start with the fellas on this one. I feel like, we need to see how the guys feel about this first.
Hey, repeat it for me one more time, JR.
What makes a woman cheat?
Oh, okay, just want to make sure everybody clear on the topic.
B Nix, I'm going to start with you. What makes a woman cheat?
I want to say just being greedy. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but you want your cake and eat it too. I think that like folks are greedy. You like what you got, but you want more. But the thing is, I always look at it, hey, you want more for whatever reasons and stuff, man. So I can say for one is greed. So that's one of my things. I'm gonna say one is greed. The second thing is like your current situation, really you shouldn't be in at all. You're in a situation that you really don't like. You kind of got one foot in the door, one foot out, but yet you won't, I won't say man up, but woman up. But I guess you get my point. Where it's like, hey, you're not being, honest about the situation that you don't want to be in. So you cheat really because you're seeking something that you're not getting. You know what I mean? I don't know whether you're seeking money, whether you're seeking entertainment, fun, you're seeking this lifestyle. But obviously you're not getting it from the situation you're at. So I look at it for one, being straight up greedy. That's why women may cheat. And the second thing is that you're not getting fulfilled in your current situation. So I'm not going to go into detail as to who fault is what about why the shit is not being fulfilled, but it's something that's lacking. So you're out there trying to find it. Sidebar, real quick before you move on. I'm going to do this. I always talk about work all the time, right? It's just like, man, when you start looking for a job, putting in apps, you still are your current employer, right? But you ain't filling your employer, but you still need that bi-weekly check. Or maybe in some cases weekly. So you go and step out on your employer and be like, hey, you know what? I want to put in an app somewhere else. It may be somebody else that actually sees the value in me, or at least what I used to be. So the thing is, hey, when you cheat, you basically putting in your app to see whether somebody like you back. And if somebody like you back, are you going to stay and man up or woman up and be like, hey, I'm going to make this right here? Or it's like, hey, deuces, I'm out. So greed, mentioned earlier, not being fulfilled, and honestly, just being entertained. Sometimes people do this to be entertained. It's like an athlete that's a free agent. I just want to hear a few offers just to see whether I still got it. But it's a dangerous game to play.
I like that, Nix. Come through, Nix. Come through. That's all coming to you next. What makes a woman cheat?
Can I defer on this one to the women? Because I have my thoughts, but I'd love to hear their narrative and their perspective because, I can't necessarily say why they do. I can make an observation based off of what I see women say and stuff, but I'd love to defer initially on this subject just to see what everybody else is saying.
Absolutely. Tawana, you want to answer that question for us? We're coming to the ladies right now. What makes a woman cheat?
I'll try to speak for women. I don't disagree with any of the stuff that B Nick said. I think all of it is actually relevant. If I'm thinking about the things that I've experienced in my life, I will say that it's payback. Sometimes women cheat for that reason. It's like, oh, my man been sleeping around, so like I'm going to test the waters and do it. Like I've seen that be a scenario. I've seen it be more so like that person is just really the security, but there's no emotional connection. So they're really looking for an emotional connection outside of that security. And again, the motive could be what B Nick said, is to kind of put yourself out there to see if anybody else is interested before you leave a secure situation, right? It's like, that's kind of, I've seen that. I've seen so many issues. Like I've seen women who are like just greedy. It just multiple men. Like I've seen that as well. Yeah, sorry about that. My kids. And actually, you would think I have more than one kid. I only got one. She's loud. Sorry if you can hear that. I'll tell her to be quiet on the next one. But I mean, it's just so many reasons. Like women mostly to me, cheat in like, okay, like I want to see what else is out there, right? Like they're emotionally disconnected from their relationship for some way. We have to have that emotional tie, that emotional connection to a man, and if we don't, like that is how we start to venture out and start looking at other people and start seeking that, because you want that emotional connection regardless. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
No emotional. Okay.
Huh? You said what?
No, I just repeating something you
That
said.
emotional, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
emotional.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I
connection.
honestly, when B Nix was talking, I kind of was like, yeah, I mean, that's true.
Danielle, what makes a woman cheat?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Um, I think resentment and frustration in the relationship. So, resentment if a woman has told a man, like, I want you to spend more time with me, or you're not giving me what I want emotionally, and that man's not responding to that. He's not making changes. He doesn't want to, he hears her, but he's not putting any action in. He's not trying to help fix the situation. At that point, if a woman's not ready to leave, she gets frustrated. Yeah, she'll start cheating.
Hmm.
Also, I've heard women say, sexual decline in men. Like, if a man's, not getting, is hard.
Oh, that was a good one.
Well,
I forgot about. I have heard that one too.
talk to women in their 40s and 50s, and they will tell you that when women are going for younger men, there's a reason. It's in that department probably. So I think it's resentment when the woman is not ready to leave the relationship yet, or just curiosity, like Tawana said and someone else said, do I still have it? Can I still pull them like I used to?
Hmm.
Hey, but why though? Like, why? Like I was joking earlier, that's a dangerous game. Like,
Right.
this we ain't. I could get it. We was all like, what, 16, 17, 18, and we had our own dope podcast. That would have been dope to talk about this. But us being grown still talking about like, yeah, I just want to see if I still got it. It's like, hey man, that's mean you got something going on within you that you gotta go
Right,
feel confident. You gotta go seek
Definitely.
it by playing
right.
Definitely.
this game
Come
with
through,
people with
Knicks.
the
Come through.
It's the
Nobody.
same
like,
reason.
bro,
It's
as
the
a
same
man,
reason
as
men cheat.
but
Right.
well,
It's the
but
same
that's not the
reason.
topic though, Danielle. I get it, but it's not the topic. If we want to stay true to topic,
So y'all, so
what?
now we can't change the topics.
Now
Hey,
we
the
gotta stay on
topic is the
topic.
topic,
Okay,
right?
we're gonna stay
Y'all,
on topic.
y'all
Because
used
I'm
to
gonna
come
make
for
sure
a
I
nigga all the
redirect you
time by going off
when you
topic.
fall off too.
Staying true to the question.
All right, I'm gonna redirect you too.
Yeah,
There you
because I
go.
mean, the thing, I'm just taking what you said. So the thing is, you said like, "Hey, just want to see if we still got it." Why play the game and why enable this guy that you do know that's digging you like that, and then be like, "Oh, I just wanted to see where I was got it. I'm just gonna ghost you
You
now."
know
Because
why?
that's another
YOLO.
thing, folks. Y'all be ghosting
YOLO.
people nowadays too, real quick.
You
If
Y'all
know,
I
laughing.
cheated, it's gonna be because I've told you something so many times, and you
right.
might be, if you're looking at other women and then you're not looking at me anymore, I might not necessarily have my money together to leave, or I haven't figured
Mm-hmm.
out where we gonna put our kids yet. But you know what, if you want to look over there, let's you want to do that, we can get started.
Mm-hmm.
But see, you know what? That's honestly, that's like that person we work with that complain all the time but always come to work. Just leave. Just
You know
leave.
what? That
No,
was gonna
you're not
Just
always
leave.
prepared. Look, I'm married. I'm telling you, before you leave, you got to get some shit together.
right.
It ain't that simple. You got stuff together. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, you know what? All right,
Very,
staying
very,
with this.
great
And
point.
Anton, I know I'm gonna tap like Jay, I'm gonna tap you in at some point, but then it goes back to low key, it makes it worse. If you are married, the fact that like, hey, y'all can't reinvest into each other, that it's just like, man, I gotta go out. Whenever you start reaching outside of your union, it's dangerous. Because the thing is, it's hard to bring it back full circle when I'm already having to go elsewhere in order to be fulfilled. And the thing is, I've talked about this on the show where I define cheating. We always talk about cheating as far as cheating on, somebody else. But like, you could cheat through other things, through work, by doing other things. You could cheat by just removing that attention out of the relationship. You find other shit to do to find that fulfillment. So, I mean, to me, it's just like, I feel this comes down to just a straight up breakdown of communication.
It's easy to get into a routine when you're in a relationship and to like really disconnect sometimes. So
whose fault is that?
It could be both parties' fault. It could be one.
Routine isn't bad.
Regardless,
y'all got
regardless
to how
of
y'all
what,
wake up every morning.
Hey, but sometimes people don't put the effort. Some people don't put the effort in to make the relationship better. And even if you try, even if you give advice, even if you say, I need these things, I want these things, and sometimes people still don't do it. So that will often lead to, it may open the door for somebody to do that.
Going back to throwing on an HR hat, folks need to do better talent acquisition, right? When y'all looking at talent management, y'all need to look at a better job on who y'all bringing into y'all union, into your organization, which is your relationship. Because then if you guess wrong and you be like, oh, this ain't what I signed up for, just cut it off now. Or like, what was the last show, JR, we talking about, hey, folks need a pip. Folks need to go on a pip in the relationship then, man. They need a performance improvement plan on how to get this right and do it the right way. See, when we go cheat, y'all not doing it the right way. It's a game, man. It's dangerous.
Well, you know what? Revenge cheating is a big thing for women.
That is.
It's I mean, when I say
didn't even know that was a thing until you said it.
Huge.
Oh, no. With women, it's huge. Like, you cheat on
me, that's a topic right there. Revenge cheating.
And they don't get caught. They don't get caught.
Oh no, because listen,
most of the time
we're gonna cross.
Speaking passionate about revenge,
we gonna die every eye.
Never.
Nick, you might gotta take some notes, Nick.
Those women never get caught. They are revenge cheating because they know their man has been cheating for years and years. And I'm telling you, they still married right now to this day, happy.
I had a friend.
That can't be a happy marriage.
I had a friend who was kind of abusive, but she slept with another man and then went and had sex with her husband and let him do all this stuff to her, and she just felt really empowered. She felt really good.
Wow.
And I mean, he was a dog. I mean, he got what he deserved.
Oh, she went to the doctor's office and see, that's how
she's good.
That's like a spreader event.
I had a girlfriend who found out she found out from an iPad that her husband was cheating, and she never told him, but got him back. She never told him. She never told him that she found out. But then she had like a whole man that she was with for years, and like he just never knew.
Hey, can I throw in a variable? Hey, Anton, I swear I'm gonna tag you in, bro. But like, so when we define cheating and this revenge cheating, like, does it make a difference if it's like, because now it's like levels to the cheating. There's a cheating, like there's an activity that took place, right? It just happened, right? But Tawana, you talking about like a whole relationship, right? That's something different. That was intentional. It's not like I didn't just fall on the pipe. That was one of those like, no, I was very intentional about what I wanted.
Because it lasted for a long time.
That's something else. Anton, what's up, bro?
Yeah, Anton, what makes a woman cheat?
The first thing that I always notice, because I've had this conversation for, I don't know, probably over the last couple of weeks, it's a lack of accountability and responsibility for women, because somehow, some way, it always becomes his fault why she did what she did. Like, that's always the narrative that, yo, I did it because it was a revenge, or I did it because of this, or I did it because of that. It's never I did it because I'm just a trash human being, or I was in a space where I needed to actually get some growth, or I wasn't where I needed to be, even in hindsight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how you look back on things when you was younger or what that you did, and you be like, man, I was not right, or whatever. Like, there's never that. There's never an accountability. That's number one. But number two, I believe
there's never that with men either.
We're not talking about that.
Yeah, man.
That's not the subject.
They want to say one-sided.
That's not even a subject.
They want to say one-sided today, Miss Danielle. So we're gonna let them live in this moment, girls.
Well, you need to talk to the moderator then.
But the other thing is that women are just naturally hypergamous. They naturally hypergamous in that they're always looking to go up. And that's why I always had this narrative, and I've been saying it for a long time, that women date up and men date down. Like, when you think about women, Well, let's just use it. Let's use it from the men's perspective. Usually, when men that I've seen had this conversation, it was because it was just a moment. And you know what I'm saying? And whatever that turns into, if they let that moment translate into something long term or something, that's an entirely different conversation. But it started off as just a moment. But when you talk about women, they hypergamous. So they're always looking to go up in everything that they're doing. So for example, the illustration that they used and that, oh, when you get older and it's not working the same way. Well, that means that you're looking for the next level of where you're at in order to be satisfied in some way, shape, or form. Same thing with money, same thing with opportunity. Women are going to take the best option, not necessarily what the option is that aligns with where they're at the time, which is why you see the translation of them not leaving the situation, but revenge cheating. Like, I don't know any guy that revenge cheats. Like, either he cheat or he don't, or he cheat or he leave. Like, he's not looking to get
Are we gonna keep it on
her.
topic? Are we gonna stay on topic? Or we gonna talk about
He doesn't look to get back at her.
I'm just saying. Are we gonna stay?
Women are like that. Like, they are much more. I would even venture to say they are much more. They're a lot more vengeful. Like they're women can be nasty. Like, if you see guys fight, like, they fight. But women, they gonna try to destroy each other. Like, they got a whole nother mentality into what it is that they do. So I think that women cheat because they're hypergamous and they're unwilling to take responsibility for who they are and the role that they play in that relationship in which they're doing that action as against. So,
all right, so what was you gonna say?
Hey,
No, I just think it's funny how we can go off topic when sometimes we can't, but it's okay. I'm gonna bring it on back to the women. I'm gonna bring it on back to the women. For any situation, there's always a cause, right? It's always a reason why someone does something, whether or not it is a valid reason or whether or not it excuses their behavior is another thing. But that doesn't take away from the reasoning. Now, you can just want to have sex with other women and justify that as a reason, like, oh, well, I'm not doing it for any other selfish reasons. Women have different reasons why we want to connect with other men when you're in a committed relationship. And it's just a fact. It has nothing to do with whether your character is flawed or whether you are not taking accountability, because most times women know that it's wrong. Most times women know that they should not be engaging. And most times they feel a sense of regret or guilt, for whatever behavior. And it doesn't mean that they don't know they're wrong. The reasons that they do it is valid reasons, though. It's like, this is what we do.
Hold on, Nix. I want to ask you a question.
Man. I'm waiting for you, Tawana.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question in regards to what Tawana just said. Do you feel as though men cheat just to cheat, or is it a reason that the men cheat? Because Tawana expressed that it's a reason, a valid reason that women cheat. So
no, I didn't. I said it's not always valid. It's not always valid.
Okay, not always valid. Okay.
That's what I said. Let's
men
quote me right.
Okay. Hey. Nix, do men have a reason to why they cheat, or do they just cheat?
Oh man, okay. Nah, I just think opportunity presents itself, I mean, not to make I know that sounds so just very general, right? But I just think opportunities present itself. I think the greed comment, I think I mentioned that earlier with women. I feel like as a man, you could be greedy, but I don't think that, like, the stuff that y'all talked about with the revenge cheating and the character and all that, I don't know if a man really thinks like that about the cheating part. I think we can agree on the greed, but as far as like, I'm trying to the fulfillment of something bigger, or I'm getting revenge cheating, I don't think I ever had a conversation with a man about, man, I'm a revenge cheat on my girl. I just don't think, like, not to say it's a man law thing, it just never comes up.
I mean, I don't think the woman consciously calls it.
No, it makes it seem like it's very intentional.
I don't think the woman. I don't think she consciously calls it revenge.
It makes it seem like cheating for women is like emotionally driven.
I think it's just something we've renamed.
I'm trying not to be biased, but it sounds like it's very deep rooted and emotionally driven, that I need to do this in order to do that.
Yeah, we're emotional. We're emotional.
I
Yeah.
think men just do it
There's
because
nothing wrong. I mean,
presents
that's
itself.
just how women are. We're very emotionally connected. We think differently from
Okay.
men. We have
Question.
we don't just do things randomly with no haphazard, just no
You know what?
thought
You know,
process. We
nice
don't do
segue.
things like that.
So this goes back to my original follow-up question I was going to ask, because Tawana, you mentioned about character, whatever, and now you cemented it by saying that women are very intentional, very thoughtful, very strategic, even, right?
I mean,
So
I
you
think
know,
a woman who's cheating could be strategic. I think
okay.
she could
So
be
knowing that,
manipulative.
and I'm not saying you and Danielle, I want y'all to speak like in a general sense, not like from a personal experience, but if you're that intentional and that mindful about what you're seeking and what you're not feeling fulfilled by, when a woman cheats, are they compelled enough to also explain the situation to the person they're cheating with? Or is this, again, this whole bait and switch? Well, what you don't ask, I don't tell. Are you that
Daniel,
transparent?
do you want to answer
If you
that?
thinking about all this stuff in your head about why I gotta cheat because I'm doing this and all that, are you being all the way 100 with the new person?
Daniel, you want to answer? I mean, I have an answer, but go ahead.
Of course, because you know, it's the new person.
Say, Danielle, you want to speak up?
Can you hear me?
No, I'm joking. I'm just talking shit. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you
Yes,
want
we can.
to let them know you're in something and you're not happy, because you know what, you're giving them a chance to meet those needs, and that's what people do regardless. A side chick, a side man, they're going to step up and create that fake fantasy with you, the fantasy that doesn't include children and a home and all that. So they're co-partners in your bubble, in your fake life.
So men are basically co-conspirators.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
the thing about it though, Nix,
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about it is that for some reason, with women being emotionally driven, right, they don't also take into consideration that side dude don't really care about you in that way. Like they use those
Some
emotions.
do.
They know they don't. They use those emotions.
After like 10
They use
years
those
of falling
emotions
in
to justify the behavior, but then they'll live in the fantasy as though it's actually real, when that the guy actually is doing it for the purpose of fulfilling that need versus actually doing whatever it takes to get whatever it is that woman is bringing to him. They don't understand, like their mindset is deranged when they're in that space to where they'll justify something in their mind. But when you really break it down, and that's why I say women aren't really accountable like they need to be for the reasons as to why they do it. Yeah, of course I can agree that it's a cause and effect, but they're not really being honest with themselves on who it is that they are and what the real cause is. And so as a result, you see them creating this fantasy in their mind to where they can justify why this makes sense. But in reality, it is no justification, because the whole reason by which they're doing it for that emotional connection is not real, even as it relates to the person that's fulfilling that connection. They doing it in a space because they know they're getting something out of it, and it's not a real connection. So my point then becomes, regardless of the reasons as to why they can justify in their mind,
it's true.
The common denominator always comes back down to you have an issue within yourself that you need to look into the mirror to and solve. And it's never based off of what somebody else is doing to you.
I agree. But it depends on who the man is.
Right.
We all know a lot of men.
A question with that. You're talking about who the man is that you with?
That you're cheating with.
On or cheating with?
Who the man is you're cheating with.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's a random Joe Blow, of course he gets to like knock your boots and he ain't got to do nothing for you.
That's fine.
If it's like an ex-boyfriend, if it's an ex-boyfriend who feels like you got away, this other man over here stepped in,
there's emotion.
He can be emotionally.
And you really feel like him telling you got away. Wait. Nick, y'all
every man is not a dirtbag.
Do you really believe that him
telling you, what did you, junior year of high school or something?
You think him telling you got away is real?
Okay, for example, it could be someone you dated before you got married, and maybe you strung that man along a little bit, and now he feels like this is his chance to get with you. Not every man is just trying to.
Y'all believe that too, don't y'all?
You sound so salty.
I don't believe.
Yes, sometimes you just sound.
I mean, I know two women who married their side dude.
But no. I'm
Oh
saying,
my God.
do you really believe?
Okay,
Do you
okay,
really
Very
believe it,
excited,
or are
dude.
you?
Okay, you
are
gotta
you
I
know
justifying
actually
in your mind
believe,
why
That's not
this
the
I
norm.
actually believe
Not
that some,
Two women.
when I was younger, I actually believe this person did care, because when you're busted or it falls apart, that person is grieving the relationship. And so if you're just hitting it and quitting it, you're not. Anton, look, whatever.
I
Yo,
agree
I
with
mean, but listen, I'm not here to try to get y'all the game. I,
Listen,
I
every man is not the same. You can't speak for every
that's
man.
right.
You
oh,
can't. I'm
okay.
sorry.
So you don't think that we tell you what you need to
Because
hear in
some of
order to
these
get what we
sad
want?
dudes, they are paying bills.
So the women.
No,
They're bringing flowers. They're taking you on vacations. They're there for
Because it
emotional.
serves our
it's easy to
purpose.
do
It's
that
not
when
that
you're doing a
we don't
part-time
really
job.
care about y'all like that.
That's just a
Honestly.
part-time job.
No,
Women-
Anton,
women
you
don't
don't
care
care
either.
about people like that.
It's a
Speak for
part-time
yourself.
job, man.
Women
It's like
are
somebody that
using
work-
you.
It's like somebody
They're
putting in
using you.
hours at work, but they don't
No,
get
no woman has ever used me. That's for sure. I
Women,
can tell you
women
that.
are using men
Oh my God.
in
They
those
using men
cases
for what?
as well.
What they using men for? Dick?
Yeah, and not even just that. Sometimes they do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, they getting
They
flued
paying
out.
for stuff. They doing stuff like
They getting
women
flued
are
out. They
using. They're
getting like
supplementing.
That's the
They're
Chad and
supplementing what
Tyrone.
they're not getting
yeah,
at
they
home.
going on these little islands where they can't
They
get caught up
they
at.
supplement what they're not getting at home with this man. He's doing whatever they want.
But
That she
see,
needs.
my
He's
thing, why go
fulfilling
through
her
trouble?
desires.
Why go through all these hoops? Why all these situations when it's like, man, I could just get my shit right at the crib, man. And the
I
thing
know
is,
we have to
if it
ask.
ain't gonna work, then leave.
We have
That's
to
all.
ask cheaters in general that. Why do you
Yeah.
do that?
You
Right?
should do.
Because if
Hey,
that's what
JR,
you
should
want,
do an
if that's
anonymous
your
poll, man.
intention, why are you with anybody?
You should do an anonymous poll to the group. Those
What?
that don't want to speak openly about it, leave
Well,
it
I
anonymous.
think-
Why
hey.
they cheat?
Cheaters never win.
Okay, well,
Be
Well, I know
happy.
you
They
said
don't,
Shawty
male
and
or
the
female.
little
They
two,
don't.
little
Exactly.
two little case
No,
studies.
that's
Just
not
cheaters.
true.
It's not gender
Women,
related.
women cheaters don't win. Men win all the time.
No, I'm gonna tell you why men cheaters don't win. Because if you end up staying with your wife or your girlfriend, you're gonna experience some hell to stay in that relationship. So it ain't gonna be worth it in the end. Your
That's not
reputation
true.
will be ruined in your family. Your
That's not true.
reputation will be there is an expensive price to cheating. If you cheat, you must exit. If you stay in your marriage or relationship, getting
A
it back
lot of
is
healing.
real rough.
It's a lot of healing.
But hey, Danielle, you said, well, folks not prepared to leave. They want to leave mentally, but they're not prepared. So they
Right.
stack their bread. So
Listen, which party? The one that's cheated on or the one that's cheating?
I think that
It could be either one.
the reason why I can't necessarily, and I don't even want to open up a whole nother box of it, is because again, you know how I feel about the whole sexual marketplace value, and long term, I'm the winner. I'm always gonna be the winner,
I feel,
and the fact that my long term value will always go up as it relates to what it is that women is looking for, and
Right.
women
You know
will
what?
never be able to win in that.
Danielle, get ready, girl. Get
I
You
almost
you
support
listen
Hey.
to
a
that
little
man
bit.
on YouTube, don't you?
No,
You sound just like that man.
No,
I
I've been
almost-
talking this way before he ever. You can ask around.
No,
I've
I
been
almost
saying it for a
support
long
that
time.
a little
Ridiculous.
bit. Just
Oh my
because.
God.
It's
this
ridiculous.
might-
You can't even respond to it. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah.
They'll
listen,
tell you I've been saying this
so ridiculous.
as long as forever.
No, it's a little
hey,
relevancy
we're
to
gonna
it
let Nick
because-
close us out. We're gonna move to the next topic. Go ahead, Nick. What you got to say?
Bro, I almost want to agree with him a little bit to a certain extent, just to bring it back to what we had talked about. I think Danielle Twana, you mentioned about these old dudes that reach back for you and stuff, right? So the thing is, I feel like the reach back goes both ways because as we all get up older in age, your collateral ain't there. So you try to reach back to somebody that you already got an established relationship with because you don't have to go through that whole channel getting to know somebody, knowing their tendencies. You already know what you're getting into. So you could just go right into it. You could do a quick pivot. Shit ain't working out at the crib. Cool. I'm gonna just do a quick pivot right here to, my go-to, which is somebody an old thing. So I think that it goes back to a little bit what Anton, because the fact is like the marketplace value of both men and women, I feel is different on the market. It really is. Like you mentioned it, and I'm going back to what you mentioned, Danielle. You talked about if I'm a little more mature woman, I'm reaching back for a young head, right? So the thing is like that.
Well, not me.
Well, not you personally. That was your example. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Make that clear,
Thank you for the
Daniel.
point of
Put
clarity.
your name out
But
there, right, girl.
I feel like a guy's market value has multitude of years and decades. Because the thing is, you got 20 men that's 20 years old for certain things, 30, 40, 50, sugar daddy, all that. So the thing is, like, for a man, that window of what they can do based on what you're looking for, whether you're looking for stability, money, a crib, a fun time, kick it, clubbing. I feel like with women, I can't say that they're necessarily a man going to be like, hey, man, Anton, I seen this little 57-year-old the other day. I don't think that ever
I
comes up in
agree with
conversation.
you. I agree with you, but in the group, I just want to diffuse some of y'all. Women out here lying to y'all. I'm sorry. You think that you have this long, opportunity to listen, this is when you're getting older, young chicks are there to get your money, baby. Women are telling men that their penises are great when it's just average.
Hey,
Okay,
some men are okay with that. Whatever they represent.
women are
Everybody got a brand they
lying
represent.
to y'all
Some
flat
people,
out.
well, some
They
people
the
got
most
jobs
manipulative.
so they could
They
They
control.
believe what women
and
are
all
saying.
that. Sorry. So
All right,
as a
y'all.
woman, she don't have a lot of time. Well, as that penis decline, you ain't got a lot of time either, baby.
Nah, man. And the
As
plus,
your hairline goes back, you don't have a lot of time either, baby.
Just
Okay.
got a pretty wife walking around
Really?
your house.
You don't
it.
have a lot of time either. So I don't believe this stuff.
Women know how to
I think
stroke
we
their
gotta.
ego. We know
Yeah,
how to
man,
do it.
window
I think we
for
got a
know
lot.
how to do it.
window for
Hey,
nobody
hey,
checking for no
hey, hey,
57-year-olds. I don't
I
care
think
what
we got
you
a
eat.
lot.
I don't care you
and
all
don't
eat.
nobody want no 57-year-old.
Man.
All right, y'all. All right,
Y'all
y'all. We
just
still
stay
got
out
some more
there.
topics to get through. We still got some
Stay
more
out
topics to
there.
get through. All right, I think we got a lot of
They out there
information.
getting theirs.
All right, next, we got a lot of information about what makes a
I'm just
woman
letting you
cheat.
know for the audience. Oh, okay. That was so childish, Danielle. Childish.
If you guys are just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Our first topic was a phenomenal discussion. And if you're just tuning in right now, we're about to move to our second topic, which is: does money and education improve a woman's status? Does money and education improve a woman's status? Next.
You know what? Hey, I don't know if he listened. I almost want to go back to our brother Avon that's in the group. Avon was on the show like a few months back, and he mentioned about certain women that you try to identify with. He was saying we all got. I think this goes back to what you were talking about, Anton, about dating up, dating down, right? So the thing is, I feel like this is one of the variables that does make somebody look more attractive based on the credentials that they come with, man. Because the thing is, all depends on like birds of a feather. All depends on what you're looking for. So I'm not saying if you don't got credentials, your education, your bag right, that don't mean nothing, but to each his own. I think that somebody that does present themselves, they got credentials, not just degrees, but other businesses could be a credential. Entrepreneurship could be a credential. Hey, some people may look more attractive based on not just the way they look, but attractive on what they could bring to the table. So I do say that if you do have these other things you're bringing to the table, yeah, you do. And the thing is, hey, when you know better, you do better. It's a different mindset too that we overlook. You know, when you got things, even if you're an entrepreneur, you worked hard for those things. So the thing is, you're able to say to like, hey, somebody does have that level of grit and in the trenches and know how to be multifaceted. So I think that the degree, the job, it just shows that like, hey, you know, you got it in you. So I think it's almost like looking at a resume. So I'm comparing it to that. People don't want to talk about it, but before we engage into that second date, we do mentally go through this resume of things that check the box of criteria that we're looking for. So I think it does help assist with making somebody look more attractive or become more attractive.
Hey, Nix, the question was: does money and education improve a woman's status? Can you define what status means to you?
You know what? I actually look at status beyond money and stuff because I think it's easy to say like, oh, well, if they make 100K or whatever, then yeah, XYZ, they a certain status. To me, it's about what they bring to the table. So I'm thinking about their mind. I'm thinking about their looks, not looks, but how they carry themselves. You know, somebody could look like have just blessed with a bad body, a good body, but dressed terribly, right? So the thing is about how they carry themselves, how they speak, how they talk. Honestly, and this is my preference, like even if you got a child, like I almost want to feel like if in my stage of my life, like the way you carry yourself as a mother, that shit is dope. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, hey, not to say it's like a job or anything like that, but it shows you know how to handle your business. Because we know people out there don't know how to handle their children. So to me, all those things goes into the different buckets of status, not just monetary.
Okay. Does money and education improve a woman's status? I'm going to say no. I don't agree with you, Nix, on that one.
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
I don't
All right,
think.
moderator.
Yeah, I don't think money and education improves a woman's status.
It's a variable. We can't deny that it doesn't support it.
Yeah, it supports it, but that person is who they are. Just like you said, mindset and along with a lot of other things that they have might dictate that status.
Well,
But you
to
first
me,
got to define what status is. So,
well,
let's go ahead, Nix. What you trying to say?
I give you this. So, like, let's say, like, education, right? Education, we could say, is not for everybody. So that's why I mentioned credentials and the fact of a business, the process. Even if you got a degree, you got your own business. To me, that's already saying that, like, what you went through a process in order to make sacrifices in your life in order to earn that degree or to earn that your own business, maybe even multiple businesses. So for me, I think it does impact your status because the fact of the process and the journey that it took you to get there, almost like somebody that work out, right? The thing is, some people are blessed with just being naturally slim. But the fact that, like, hey, let's say you was out of shape and then you back in shape, it's like, hey, you can say, oh, people that go to the gym have a better status. It's not just about the way they look, but about the journey that got them there. You know what I mean? So for me, that's the mindset. We think about growth mindset and being able to show that grit and perseverance. For me, those are things I'm looking at as a resume to saying the status that, you know what, you got it in you. Because some people don't know who they are and they're walking around here aimlessly. So I'm not saying it's the only thing, but we can't deny not just the money, because we're not talking about a certain dollar amount, but the fact that you are securing a bag. Securing a bag could be $50K a year. Good for you. But the fact that you're working for your money, I like that. I'm not saying it has to be $150K or more than me, because then we got men that feel like, oh, well, you can make money, but you can't make more than me. Who cares, right? So the thing is, it all goes back to like, hey, what are you bringing to the table?
All right, Nick. So I kind of halfway trying to understand what you're saying, but some of the stuff I just don't disagree with. Let me hear what everybody else got to say. You're all over the place, Nick. Tawana.
It's opinions, bro. It's just opinions.
Tawana. Does money and education improves a woman's status?
A woman's status in what? In the world, in life, in relationships.
In
yes.
Relationships.
Yes, education is definitely valuable to a woman. A woman's money, because with money you can take care of yourself. You can get your hair done. You can buy nice clothes. You can get new boobs if you want. You can, flatten your tummy. I mean, there is so many things that a woman can do that have money versus a woman who don't. So yeah, absolutely, it changes your status, because that's why you take one woman like that's basic looking like Black China, and she look like, a goddess to men, right? Her body is like perfect because she got money.
I don't know about now, but
all I'm saying is she gets these dudes, these high value men, okay, and her body is together. So what I'm saying is, yes, money can change your status, right? It can change the men that you have access to. And if I got some big boobs and my body was tight, like I probably could get these millionaire men. Like that could change a lot. So yes, your money, and then a lot of men value an educated woman, a woman who they can talk to, who can give them some insight into life. I mean, who wants a woman who can't help you through anything to be your partner in life? I mean, who wants a woman who don't really have any types? I mean, and not saying that only educated women can help, because obviously your experience, there's other things that teach you things that's more valuable, and education doesn't teach you everything. But what I'm saying is that you can't just discredit a woman's education and her money and say that because men value physical things, that doesn't mean anything to anyone else. And it does. It changes you, and it makes you more marketable in a lot of ways. So anything that makes you more marketable to me is valuable and changes your status in life. So yeah, I disagree with some of what you said, Nick. I mean, I think you were on that, but I definitely disagree with JR. But some of, I think you did pretty much explain that, it does bring some value to a woman.
Yeah. It's a
And
variable.
it's,
So I'm saying
it's
it's
a
not the
variable.
only thing. So I know that the
Right.
question asked about what money and education. I'm just kind of generalizing. There are other
Right.
variables that goes into how we build status.
Absolutely.
But like we said, the education and the money is almost taps you into a network. We could all say that, like, hey, take away half of what we make annually, right? Or half, or we don't have no degrees. The thing is, we live in a society where it does give you access and opportunity. When you know better, you do better. So the thing is, you strive for more.
When I went into my management level role, my wardrobe changed. My access changed. I could do more things. I could get my hair done every 2 weeks versus me doing my hair myself. I could get my eyebrows done, nails done, feet done every 2 weeks. I didn't need anyone to help me do that. I did it on my own. And then that changed the way I looked, and that changed the access that I had. And I'm saying that my education put me in an atmosphere where I could be moved up and promoted within my organization. That changed my status within my organization. So absolutely, those two things have value to women, and they change the status. So
JR, can I add one thing?
And it also changed your attitude as well as who you think you are to the world. So
before Danielle,
I've been the same way.
Yeah, so women that's getting to the bag and women that got this education. Now they're all the way up here.
Yes.
I'm that.
Nice.
You can't tell me anything.
Stay up there, baby.
Who are you? I don't know, man. We're gonna dive into this.
Stay up there, baby.
Go ahead, Nick.
Stay right on up there.
The only thing is that, as we talk through this, I do almost feel like, as far as society, there's
it don't change their status, Nix.
It's a double standard, though. At the same time, because I feel like when we talk about I feel like a woman can still kind of navigate through the world a little bit better. I feel like men are judged based on status. Like, if I don't have money, I don't have a car. If I don't have a car, I can't get the chick, right? I can't get the woman. I don't think that those concrete rules technically apply to levels of status for women. Status is great for women, but I feel for men, you're judged either fairly or unfairly if you're a man. If you don't have an education and you don't have money, you can't talk to me. I don't think men treat women that way, but women treat men that way based on status. That's the only thing I have to say. I'm not trying to veer our topic in another direction, but it's just something that just kind of came to mind when we were talking through this.
Anton, I'm coming to you. I want you to stir the pot a little bit, which I know you are already. Y'all gonna do.
Hey, that's the whole reason you got Anton on the show. Let Anton go first next time then. Let him set the table.
Anton, does money and education improve a woman's status?
Not even a little bit, bro. Like, as it relates to I'm just going to speak from the perspective of how men view women. As far as high value men specifically, no, it doesn't have even a little bit of any kind of bearing.
Like, see, can we
I gotta speak from where I am and how guys that align with me.
This is gonna change tonight. I already see what.
And how guys that align with me and dudes that I associate with which are high value dudes.
Oh my God! I don't like. Oh,
it has no bearing.
Hold on, Nick. Let's get through this.
It has no bearing whatsoever. Like, listen, you having money or education. And when we talk about education, most of the time people associate it with being college educated. And I know plenty of women that's college educated and some of the most ghetto women that I've ever seen in my life. Like, that has no bearing whatsoever on. I know women that's got 3 degrees and 2 masters, and they absolutely broke. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got a lot of, that's all that means is that they got a lot of debt, a lot of these chicks, right? So when we talk about it and we really compartmentalize it, because I know women that has never went to college and they incredibly beautiful and they might even own their own business, which them owning their own business has no bearing on me whatsoever, because I don't really care about how much money you make, right? That has no bearing on whether or not I'm attracted to you. I'm not basing what it is that I feel towards you or my attraction or where you are in those specific areas of your life as it relates to that. I'm not bearing that, using that as a litmus or a status as to whether or not I would ever be attracted to you. Like, to be honest with you, I could talk to you 100 times and never ask you whether or not you went to college. Like, that's not even a question that I'm gonna ask you, is whether or not you went to school. I don't care. I really don't care. Are you beautiful? Are you gorgeous? Is your mind in the right space? Do you really put in the effort that you need to do in every area of your life? And that'll reflect in what you look like. It'll reflect in your effort and your ability to be able to nurture this particular type of thing in which we got going on. Is your, like, those are the character. Are you feminine? Are you able to, you know what I'm saying, maneuver in a certain type of place? Or are you always trying to compete with me to see who the bigger dog? Yeah, I ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? So as it relates specifically to status in relationships, as far as what men are looking for, so I'm really speaking to that niche. You know, I'm not speaking to a specific area in which like Tawana addressed or whatever. Like if you gorgeous and you putting in the effort to be the best version of you, and you able to be talked to, and you awesome, and you got your head on right, and you able, I can take you into a place and not feel like, you know, I'm bringing in somebody that's gonna embarrass me. If you can move like that, you can have anything you want. I'm gonna make sure that you well taken care of and that you got every single available resource to do all of those things that you felt like you needed to get before I got you. So I feel like as it relates to relationships, as far as what I'm looking for, if I was looking for somebody, it has zero bearing on what it is that I'm interested in.
Danielle, does money and education improve a woman's status?
I think to the woman, it improves her status, but I think most men do not care. I think it is all about the way that woman makes that man feel. You know, you can be, you know, you could have an associate's degree, you could have a high school education. Hey, there are women out here with high school education that are entrepreneurs that are, you know, making moves. But I think it's how that woman, she doesn't have to have all that if she can cater to that man and make him feel like he can conquer the world. She's a helpmate. So I think for us women, yes, we believe that these things make us a better partner, but I just don't think men feel that way. And you can look around, like there are rich men. I mean, for example, look at some white women. They go to college, they get equal degrees to a man, and then they move to the suburbs and they stay at home.
Right.
What's that degree worth? It's worth nothing.
I agree with you, Daniel. The only thing I would say, like, you know, when I was speaking earlier, I wasn't necessarily talking about an aspect of relationships, but life. But I think it really goes back to access and opportunity. So the thing is, like you mentioned about the person who like move out to the suburbs, they don't do nothing. But the level, not even the credential they earn, but the journey, the getting there, they still met striving toward that same goal, right? They still met toward in an educational setting to do that together. If they in a business situation, I feel it puts you in the situation to select each other. You know what I mean? Like you could say, like, yeah, it don't matter. And the thing is, it all comes down to the vibes, right? But I truly feel that birds of a feather. Like even if I'm a doctor and she's a nurse, but we're still in the same arena. So the thing is, I feel like sometimes in the level of education, I do agree with Anton. Education doesn't mean like a formalized educational setting, right? But whatever that may be, whatever learning environment, if you're in that same learning environment with someone, you do have access to people that you didn't. And even with money, because you're able to have access to do different things, the more money you got, able to travel. Like we talking about traveling and stuff, right? You got to have money for that, right? So
but I think a resourceful woman can put herself in that situation. A resourceful woman who is looking for.
You are 100% right, Daniel.
Define resourceful.
What do you call those?
Early, it's not about 100K or something like that. So
what do you call those high quality, high value men? There are women that are specifically looking for that man, and she will elevate and do whatever she needs to do to get in the room or get wherever, even if she's working in a retail store. There are resourceful. Look at your average groupie. Some of them are very resourceful. How do you get in these hotels with these players?
You.
Who let you?
They groupies.
Well, but they are.
That takes you to.
But they are also resourceful.
Yeah.
You know, and college didn't necessarily take them there. They found out a way to get there.
No, Danielle, I agree. What I disagree with Anton is about that it's not one-sided. Y'all look at, like Anton, you look at everything very binary. The thing is, these are different paths, right? No one person, you always want to make shit seem monolithic. It's not. The thing is, like, we all gave different.
It's definitely not.
No, for real. The only
It's
time
not.
you give a big up if somebody agree with what you said, bro. I gave a different perspective. Okay, cool. You got a perspective. These are all perspectives. So you make it seem like it's one homogeneous way in which you could go
I'm not
about
gonna
saying
validate
whether it's
you. I
established.
disagree with what you're saying. I respect
I
what you're
disagree
saying.
with what you saying.
Brandon,
But I don't
I
agree with
agree
you.
with what you
I
say.
respect you, but I don't
Yeah,
agree
same
with you.
way,
I think that you're dead wrong, 100%.
I think you're dead wrong, man.
There
The
is
thing
men.
like, and even with the high value shit, man. Well, maybe I'm not a high
Hey
value.
JR, can you move Danielle to my side of the screen?
No, hey, Gil
Oh, and
answer
let
on
me
his
keep
own
it
show,
real.
man.
Right now, I'm gonna give you an example. I
No,
know
Gil answer on
someone,
his own
he's
show, bro.
making 6 figures. His wife, she's making some dough. He complains about her all the time. Like, it's petty shit. You know what he said? I would rather take a 20-year-old that just left college.
But
who
he didn't.
because look,
With her.
initially, I believe men do sometimes go, oh, she's got
When
this going
when
on.
she turned 40, he can trade her in for 220.
I don't know one
She's
man.
knocking 40. She's knocking 40, but he wants to take a girl straight out of college because he's gonna get all the blowjobs he wants. He's gonna get.
I don't know no men
She's
with a
not.
college education that don't value a
I'm
woman
just trying to figure out when
with
we
a college
start talking about
education.
100K.
Hey,
That's
listen.
When
You
we
know what's so
start talking
funny?
Me and my man went to the
This where I
same
go
school.
see-
Like,
You know what's so funny, Nick?
we value
You know what's so
each other.
funny?
What's up,
We
Anthony?
All you
met
gotta
in
do is
college.
look at Jeff Bezos, bro. Like as
Yes.
soon as he got to his bread,
Yes.
he dropped all
It's
that
like
high
one
intellect or whatever,
person.
and he rocked and he paid her
But a
off
lot
or
of men
whatever,
do that
and he
because after a
upgraded
while they
physically.
just want to be
First thing
catered
he did
to.
was upgraded physically. He upgraded
Yeah.
physically. He looked better. He like it's
Just
so
no.
clear. I don't know.
I don't know.
why women
I don't
see
read those
it.
books.
It's just
Anton.
not one
I'm
way
sorry.
to
It's not a
think.
book.
But Tawana, like
This is
honestly,
a specific man that you're talking about.
you know
This
what
is not
comes with,
every man. This
you
is
know what comes with an educated woman who has her own money. I'm not going to shut up. I have my own opinion. I'm not going to be submissive to you because I'm a boss too. That attitude does come along with it. And sometimes those women who don't do as much, they're more willing to, they cater. They're benefiting.
Hey, Danielle.
They
You
are.
know what to say.
not in my
You know,
damn life.
hate-
I don't know what life y'all
Hey,
live.
JR, move her to my
Go
side,
ahead and
bro.
keep living your
Move
Joe
her to my
Cox
No,
side,
the
life.
thing is, see,
I'm like,
no, here we go with the less than conversation, right?
thank God, Joe.
No,
Thank
everything is a
God,
less than.
Joe Cleaver don't live
Like,
in
so
here.
this, hey, bro, let's move on,
Say
bro.
that.
Like, see,
Praise
and
the
no,
Lord.
hey, moderator, you do this all the time. You always pick these topics.
JR didn't say nothing.
That I feel strongly
JR
about.
didn't say nothing.
Listen,
No, because it's a submissive thing.
that ain't
You said
happening,
it.
Captain.
Danielle, I'm not feeling the submissive comment. Because the
Me
thing is,
neither.
like, this is where we go back with the less than, right? So it's this
It's
hierarchy.
ridiculous.
It's this hierarchy that we have in this society, bro.
And
that's
I
the problem.
was watching a show, Married at First
Everything
Sight,
in
last
hierarchy.
night. And the white women were the women who were saying, like, I'm not gonna be submissive in this relationship. Like, I'm going to be he gonna have to treat me equally. And it was one black girl. She was like, well, I'm religious, and so I believe in that, right? Like,
But it's her religion that's doing that. It's her religion.
Okay, but she said she wanted to be submissive. But the problem is that we feel like you have to be one way in order to get married, in order to have a successful relationship. When I've seen time and time again equal partnerships that last for 50 years, that last for 30 years, that's lasted over time. And so when you all say something where it's like, no, this is what men want and this is what they value and this is what works. And I see that it works in other ways and it works in other.
I said this is what high value men want. I think it's levels.
But I do believe it's working because those women are pouring into that man
Oh,
too.
yeah, one at a time, y'all.
Terminology goes with a dollar amount, and
right.
we're talking about if you make 100K and all that.
That's why I don't
Nick, you just subjected yourself to that same narrative in the last conversation.
No, I mentioned earlier.
Wait.
No, what I said you could make 50K. I said, as long as you making your money.
You just said when we had the last question.
When
we had the last question, you specifically said, and you agreed with me that as it relates to the sexual marketplace value, that men's value go up and we're looked at a specific type of way. And you said, wait. Hold on. Wait. And you said that it's not fair that men are looked at this way. But now you're saying that this doesn't make sense in your mind that we are making this whole narrative by which
No, I
we
said it's a
can't be.
perspective that I did.
Come
I
on,
came
Mitch,
with
man.
my opinion.
You know what it is, bro.
See why I got
Yeah,
to
I'm
yes or no?
disagreeing.
That's the only part I disagree with you, Anton. Every time we talk on this show, you make it seem like it's either one way or the other. So if it's not your particular way, then you disagree with
When
it.
I know men
respect
who
you
do
too,
the
brother,
opposite.
but I'm just coming with a different opinion. I told
That's
you
right.
one thing: we're not status. We did not define that by the monetary value of how much money you make.
Yes, we
and
do. Money
education,
is
as
everything.
you mentioned,
Money
doesn't
rules
relate to necessarily
everything.
what's formalized education.
Character is
Let me tell you
also
something. Let me
a
tell you
problem.
something.
Tell me,
If
bro.
your character is flawed,
Character is an
your money
important
makes
factor.
no difference.
But you don't even get consideration if you don't have certain level of resources. You're not even in certain rooms. You don't get access to the same things that this person get access to. Certain people don't even consider you when you're not on a certain level as a man specifically. So if you're telling me that money don't mean nothing, I would tell you that you're living in a dream world and you're not being honest with yourself.
And a
I
lot of those
know
women
that
are single too. Like if this
Lots of
man
them.
got to be making $150,000 for you to consider him, well, stay single the rest of your life because that's ridiculous.
I think that's why people do stay single, though. Honestly, Danielle.
No, those women. Listen. A portion of my business, I work with women who are getting married. Listen, no.
I mean, man, bro. My thing is like the high value, the Kevin Samuels.
You said women who are getting married.
I work with
I was
brides.
going to say something about it when you mentioned it. You already knew. You changed the whole dynamic of what we were talking about with that high value shit, man. And buddy,
because it's real.
I don't.
It's real.
No, I think that high value stuff applies to a certain segment of the population.
Maybe that's
I
why
agree, Danielle. That's why you are.
Do not
ridiculous.
consider character.
But the thing is,
okay, high value is about the character of a man, not his money.
Based on how it's defined. I do not define
no money matters.
High value man. So maybe
not
that's
to everybody.
As it relates, you can't define a man as high value. As it relates to what women are looking for. 100%. Listen, men's number one priority is to provide and protect. That's just been since the beginning of time. It hasn't changed today. And what women look for is not necessarily based off of looks is cool and they great, but that's not the number one factor of what a woman is considering when she evaluating whether or not a guy is where she gonna rock with a guy. It's based off of resources. It's based off of what he can do for her. It's based off of opportunity. It's based off of whether or not he'll be able to provide for their children, whether or not she feels safe as it relates to the certain resources that he have, living in certain neighborhoods. And I'm gonna just tell you, I know women today whose goal is to be a housewife. And the problem in society today is that we want to say, okay, all women should be celebrated and highlighted, yet women themselves don't even respect women that want to be housewives anymore, as though that's not even a respectable profession anymore. So when we having this conversation, in order for her to be a housewife in today's society, there needs to be a certain level of man that she meets that can meet a certain expectation that enables her to be able to do that. And if you're saying that a high value man is not important in that circumstance or situation, then you really being naive and you're not being honest with yourself.
I don't know. We have different philosophies, bro. Cause I feel we talked about this earlier. If you work in the house, you gotta actually get a job, right? That's the expectation. I feel in 2021, we talking about folks making their own bag. You gotta make your own money. So we talked about
my wife will never have to work ever in her life. My wife will never have to subject herself to doing something that she don't want to do.
Can we check in on you in 5 years to make sure that's true?
It's been true for the last 16. I don't know why it's going to change.
I hate your language, bro. Subject.
Are you married?
I've been married for 16 years, and she ain't never had to work.
See, that's that less than language, bro. So you make it seem like people that
and
do
she drive all the flyest cars. She fly wherever she want to go. She buy what she want to buy. She do what she want to do, and you know why? Because she make me happy, and I'm gonna ensure that she got everything she want to do.
We live in two different worlds, bro. That's why I think we never meet in the middle.
There's levels.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. That world does not exist where I'm from.
All right, we got a couple more topics to get through. We're gonna close. We're gonna close this one on out. That was a good one, right?
I definitely work. B-Dix, don't worry. I have to.
All right, if you guys are just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. We having some great discussions here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Moving on to our third topic, which is the same way you get a man is the same way you lose a man. The same way you get a man
Mm.
is the same way you lose a man. We often always hear that because of the situations that a lot of us are in or have been in. So I want to know if that statement is true. Then yeah, I'm gonna start with you.
I think that statement applies to if you were cheating with this man, that's the way you're going to lose the man. That's really the only situation I can apply that to. And I know for a fact that is true. I have seen woman after woman lose her man because her position is now available because she's the first woman now. So now somebody else is coming to make sure you reap what you sow. So yeah, I believe that.
Okay. Tawana, you think that's true? The same way you get a man is the same way you lose a man.
Only in the scenario that Danielle mentioned, where maybe you're cheating with him, and I do you think that he's gonna remain faithful to you if you marry him and get into a relationship? Probably not. I mean, I think that that's the only scenario I could think of. I just don't understand that because, I mean, you know, I meet people somewhere that ain't the way I lose them. I lost them because I ain't want to deal with them no more.
Right.
Whatever the case may be. So I don't get how it applies to any other scenario. I'm just, I do understand, and it don't always apply in the cheating scenario. I mean, I think that it is, obviously the most popular reason why somebody would leave you, but I don't know if that's the only scenario. But I'm just trying. I guess I'm curious as to where that question derived from and where you.
No, you guys hit it right on the money. It comes from cheating. Normally, when a woman cheats, well, a woman
When the man is cheating with
when a man is cheating with the woman, that the man cheats again, and he just keeps that same pattern. But I want to ask you. I know you mentioned earlier in the other discussion where you said that some of your friends married their side guy.
Yeah, two. No, not a friend. I just know two people.
Right. Like, are they still together? Things seem to be working.
Well, one person, they've been married for 13 years.
Wow.
She was married 16 years before she met the side, like while she was with this side guy, right? So he worked with her, and that they were having a relationship for about 5-6 years within her while she was married. And then she just finally left her husband for him. And then they got married later on in life. And now they're still married now.
So one
they're in their 50s though now. I mean, they're like 50s and
right.
they both together. And then I don't want to say who it is, but yeah, she married, the man had a wife, right? So he had a wife, but they have been in relationship for, off and on for maybe the last, 10 or 15 years. But he was married for 27 years to his first wife, right? And then they pretty much eventually decided they wanted to get married. They got married, I think about 45, 46, and they got married and they still married. But she's 56 or 57 now. So I mean, it's still early, but I guess they still married. So yeah. That's all I'm saying is life don't have no blueprint. Life is just is what it is. You can't say that'll never happen or those scenarios never happen. Like I'm in a small knit group and that's happened twice that I could recall. So, and I probably can think about some more scenarios where the side chick has won in situations. So all I'm saying is that I don't know if he gonna cheat on her at some point and then they gonna lose their relationship. I don't know if he already has, and she's just tolerated it. But I'm just saying that, he hasn't broken them thus far. That's what I will say.
I don't think that is true. I think that it is situational. I do think that 9 times out of 10, if a man has cheated, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a pattern. He could have cheated because of things that were going on. He didn't feel validated. He wasn't getting fulfilled. He had a lack of communication at that time, so he didn't know how to communicate.
Oh, so that's why men cheat.
How he felt, and it might have caused him. But as humans mature, which most of us do, some do not, I feel as though there is a possibility, just like with anything else in life, that he will not cheat and that you will not lose him in that situation. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't want to put that
You
in
know
the
what? When I
air.
go into relationships, I always feel like you gotta go into it the way you want it to end. It's like you want to go into it on a good note. Like I didn't always feel that way because I didn't always see people as a potential partner. I always felt like whatever, I'm just having fun for the moment. But I think that when you start to really seriously be like, I think that I really want to find someone that I really, like I really want to build something with someone. You start thinking about it differently. Like, man, let me take this a little seriously and let me go into the relationship like with the best intentions, and then hope that the outcome is positive. So I do agree with that. Like, if you go into it with the best intentions, then maybe the relationship will have a positive outcome. But if you go into it with something negative, like cheating, like whatever, using somebody, whatever your intention is, if it's not a positive intention, I do think that the outcome will be the same. And that's, I agree with that to a certain degree. Yep.
Anton, the same way you get a man is the same way you lose a man. You believe that?
Yeah, I believe it overwhelmingly 100%. And of course, it's always going to be anomalies, right? You're always going to see some success stories. You're always going to see some people that, buck the trend or whatever like that. But I think that the foundation by which you build your relationship is the exact way, because every relationship at some point is going to be tested, right? Like I know a lot of people that built their relationship based off of sex.
Oh,
And when the sex waned or when certain things didn't happen the way that they wanted to happen, then you had trouble, and then issues persisted as a result of that. I know some people, some chicks, they always want the thug dude. Well, guess what? There's implications and problems and issues that come along with the thug dude, because the thing about men for the most part is that we don't change on your terms. We change according to our lifestyle and our circumstances and situations as they show themselves. So if you go into a guy, oh, I like thug dudes. Well, guess what? There's a certain type of way in which that dude operates. And when you're ready to be a wholesome woman and awesome,
Oh my God.
he may not necessarily want to participate in the way that you want to. And so then that's when the issues, arise. People that date based off of money. I didn't say that it didn't happen, right? With it, but when the foundation of that relationship is based solely off of money, then when there's an issue, because it's been plenty of dudes that had it, lost it, and then got it all back. But when they lost it, that's when you're seeing a lot of their relationships dissolve. That's when you're seeing that people bail because they're like, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I thought I was getting myself into. When people that build relationships based off of principles aligned with cheating, often at times, and one of the reasons why I said in our first subject that the reason why it's an issue as far as people not being honest with themselves or paying attention to whether or not that person is telling you what you want to hear versus telling you what they honestly feel. Because a lot of times people say what they want to get what they want. What you find is that once you get into that situation, he's not going to change. If the circumstance presents itself and he finds himself in a situation where the opportunity presented itself in the same way that it presented itself when he got you, you not special, you not awesome. Like your stuff is not any more phenomenal than anybody else's. So I do believe that, of course, that it is anomalies, but I do believe that the foundation by which you build your friendships, your relationships, and everything else that you establish in your life will ultimately be either your success story or your undoing.
Interesting. Everybody answered that question.
Nope,
Danielle.
Knicks didn't.
Oh,
Next.
yes.
Yeah. Next. There's money and education. I'm sorry. The same way you get a man is the same way you lose a man.
Yeah. Man, I'm pissed that I didn't get a chance to get my comment in with Anton last show. I'm still on that. You brought up a good point about the double standard, but I missed my window to spar with you. Nonetheless, in this regard, I think I was actually thinking kind of along the lines what Anton mentioned. You mentioned change, Anton. I was thinking more so the evolution. Where I think that like in a relationship, people do evolve. Where it's almost like if someone, they date, I want a church girl, right, or a choir girl, right. And the thing is, it's like the same way that attracted you to this person. But I feel like in relationships, they change, they grow, and they evolve. And you may still be the exact same person you was when you captured it. Almost like when Anton mentioned about a thug, or you want this type of person. It's like, or it's based on sex, and then it's like years later, like it's still all about sex. But this person has now evolved into a better version or a more authentic version of who they are. You lose somebody that way. I always look at it as almost like a riding the waves, and you're a surfer, right? You have to ride the waves of a relationship. But the thing is, a lot of times people, they miss their spot. They miss the wave where it's like, oh well, I thought we still do it. Like, no, you have to continue. Sometimes it's big waves, small waves, powerful waves, but it's like a yin and a yang. You all have to continue to be in sync. And I think it may be something as simple, like let's say the thing that you liked about the person that they ate bologna sandwiches, and then now you evolve where like you eating, steak, lobster, crab legs, and you're like, oh, well, I'm still eating tuna fish sandwiches, Vienna sausage sandwiches, and things like that. And the things that you thought that you liked for that version of who you were 10 years, 5 years, maybe even 20 years later, you're not the same person, but yet that person didn't grow with you. So I think in most cases, this almost is a segue back into what we mentioned about the cheating, feeling fulfilled, that person no longer is feeling fulfilled anymore because now this person has grown and evolved. So I think what we're talking about is really about the same way you could get someone could be the same way you lose someone. I feel that in life, we should all be able to continue to self-reflect and from a continuous improvement and betterment aspect. But if you're just cool being in this one spot, that may have gotten you in the door, it may have gotten you into the relationship, but it may not be able to keep the relationship because you haven't put anything else to invest into the relationship. We see it with houses, right? When somebody buy a house, it looks great, and guess what? They don't do any new paint jobs, no new updates. 10, 12, 20 years later, guess what? The shingles are falling off, the roof tore up, windows old, furnace don't work. And you're like, well, this is the same house I bought, so I love this house. But you didn't invest into maintaining this house. And that's the part where I feel like people miss it. I know, JR, you mentioned about sex and things like that. That's one aspect of it. But we look at a big picture, it's an evolution of self. And if we're trying to reach self-actualization of who we are, then it's a journey. And some people aren't built for the journey. And that's why people grow apart. I still feel they should just leave. But then people cheat instead. They're like, oh, well, I've been doing this for a while. They ain't do nothing wrong to really mess it up. I'm just a different person. And you go out seeking to be fulfilled. And then it creates this chain reaction of events. But people need to pay attention in a relationship. This happens when folks are lunching. They asleep at the wheel when they just thinking like, yeah, I'm married, or yeah, I'm with such and such, or he ain't going nowhere. That's cool. But it's like, are you really checking in on what's really happening in the relationship? Because a lot of times you've already lost someone and you don't even know it. Just because y'all in the same house, y'all more like roommates rather than actual like lovers. And the vibes that I talk about, folks know when the vibes ain't there no more. Folks just don't be honest with themselves.
All right, Nick, you took us home with that one, man. Appreciate that.
Hey, man, I still got to holler at you afterwards, Anton. I feel like we didn't have enough time on that last topic, but I'll let it go at some point.
Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. If you're just tuning in, we about to ready to go into our fourth topic, which is, are women alpha because it is a necessity because of society, or is it because it's naturally who they are? Again, are women alpha because it's a necessity because of society, or is it because it's naturally who they are?
Hey, let's have Brother Daniels define alpha for for the audience. You know what I mean? Just so we can level set.
All right, Anton, what you think about that? Are women alpha because it's a necessity because of society, or is it because it's naturally who they are?
All right, so I'm gonna answer the question first, and then perhaps the alpha description will come out in the answer. But I don't believe that women are alpha at all. I don't believe there's a such thing as an alpha woman.
For
I think
some reason I knew you was gonna say that. I'm glad I queued you up. I teed you up first. Go ahead, brother.
I don't believe that there's a such thing as an alpha woman. I think that that default label that women try to attach themselves to is a result of them trying to compare themselves to men. And I think that that's a huge mistake because what we don't really attach ourselves to is the idea that we are completely different. Like we are different in so many different ways. And instead of us embracing that and celebrating it, we compare ourselves regularly and then we try to attach labels that more or less compare ourselves or put ourselves on par with one another instead of identifying the fact that our differences does not necessarily mean that we're less than. It just means that we're unique and we have different talents and levels in which we can elevate. So for example, I like to identify women as more nurturing. Not saying that men can't be nurturing or, you know what I'm saying, that there are men that more closely align with that nurturing element. But I think that women are naturally more nurturing. I think that women are by default, especially earlier in their life, they tend to be more intelligent than men. They tend to be more reasonable in their ability to be able to make definitive decisions or long-term decisions. Whereas men, I think earlier in their life are more short-term. And I'm not even sure if that's genetic or if that's a scientifically proven thing that aligns with how well our brains are developed. But I think that women by default have qualities that we should champion that don't necessarily align with the idea of being alpha. And so when I say women aren't alpha, I'm moving from the perspective if I was to identify some things that men are better than women at, right? Like men are naturally stronger physically than women. Men tend to have a conquering mentality or a mentality, for example, of being a hunter. A man is generally more competitive than women are in every point in their life. Like we play sports harder, stronger, we go harder. Our bodies are built to withstand more as it relates to the rigors of everyday grind and us being able to adapt to society to be able to provide and protect more better than maybe women may be able to by default. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't women that can do things awesome or in some examples better or on the level of men. But I think that those differences are what should be championed and celebrated. So to bring it back to the whole idea of being alpha, I think that there's by society standards, and I'm not even talking about today, I'm talking about historically, there have been men that are weaker than other men that subject themselves to the narrative or to what other men subject them to. When I walk in a room, men move different when I walk in a room. They don't necessarily, it's more of a respect thing. Sometimes, depending on the room that I walk in, it's a fear thing because they know that I can make or break their futures based off of the decision that I make, depending on what position of power that I'm talking about. So when you talk about alpha men, I think you're talking about men that move a certain type of way. They're able to make decisions that empower other people. They have the power to be able to determine other people's futures. And I think by default, you see that in more men than women than you do in women because naturally, women don't move in that type of way. The only reason women are in the spaces that they are, as far as having to raise, children the way that they have and take on, parental roles that is naturally reserved for two parents, is because men dropped the ball. And so they were forced to be in certain positions, but by default, that is not what they naturally navigated to because they moved a certain type of way. They was never forced to be in that position. So me personally, I don't think that there's ever such thing as an alpha woman. I think a woman will adapt, but by default, I don't think that that's what she wants. I don't think a woman wants to grow up wanting to have to go to work every day. Whereas men, by default, we understand that's our role. That's what's going to define whether our greatness in some respects, and that's what we accept.
Hey, Dan, yeah, I know when Anton first started talking, you were shaking your head. So I'm going to go to you next. Are women alpha because it's a necessity due to society, or is it because it's naturally who they are? And feel free to respond to Anton.
Uh, I think some women are alpha, and it's because of who they are. I don't when I look at an alpha woman, I don't relate it to a man. I relate it to how she is with other women, I guess. Because it's very difficult if you're an alpha woman dealing with an alpha man. I feel like he's going to have his way. He's going to overpower you. You have to be it'll be a challenge. But I look at it as in female relationships. There are definitely type A alpha women, and I think that it's how they are socialized. It's how they're raised. Maybe an alpha daddy raised their alpha daughter.
Can I ask you a question, Danielle?
Mm-hmm.
So, is there a such thing as a beta woman?
Yes.
There's a such thing as a beta woman, because again, going back to the other conversation, I think that women that want to be housewives is not necessarily beta. I think that should be championed, and then that's awesome. So you would use this narrative and say that there are beta women also? Because in order for there to be an alpha, there needs to be a beta. So I just want to make sure.
I don't think it has to do with her profession. I think it's her personality. You can be an alpha housewife. You can be running the ship and the show and the husband and the kids and everything. I just don't think it's. I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to call a woman like, oh, you're a beta woman. You know, you're a little.
But why? If you're able to easily identify an alpha, why can't you identify a beta?
I can identify a beta man fast.
No. We talking about women. We talking about women.
They're more passive to me. You know, they just let things happen or go with the flow. They let alpha women dominate them in conversations, in a lot of ways. But sometimes, honestly, just because you're an alpha woman and you're dominating another woman, that doesn't always make you the strongest person. That beta woman may be more cunning, smarter.
So is she beta if she's smarter and more cunning and wiser in her decisions? That's what I'm wondering. Like, if
I think it's how I view their personalities initially.
I don't get it, but okay. I respect
a lot of alpha women are just very strong. You're not going to run them over. They're going to dominate other women. I feel like I have some friends that I would consider kind of beta.
That sounds like an unruly woman to me, but okay.
A beta woman?
No. What you're defining as an alpha woman.
No, you could check a person nice, nasty. I mean, you don't have to get ghetto with them. You know, every alpha woman isn't necessarily like unruly, ghetto. They can check you in nice, nasty ways. But I don't compare an alpha woman to an alpha man. I don't think she's going to conquer him, honestly. Not the personality type I'm thinking of.
Be next. I know that you like the alpha word, so are women alpha because it's a necessity due to society, or is it because it's naturally who they are?
I don't know. If we're talking about like personality characteristics, to me, it's all learned behavior, right? So the thing is, I think we all kind of adopt behaviors based on how we're bred, our upbringing. Some things are innate. It's hard for me to talk about this, but I shifted a little bit because I think from more of like for me, like a more psychological aspect is like a type A and type B personality, you know?
Yes.
Type A personality is someone that's very headstrong, impatient, but always very much doing a lot, wanting to aspire to do many things. And they associate their self-worth with achievement. You know, they allow achievement to define who they are. Type B personality is more so calm, low-key in demeanor, chill, still assertive, because I think somebody that's a type A is an aggressive person, you know. very aggressive, but they allow these things to kind of associate to define who they are. I think that so the question is like, are there women that do they have to be alpha? I feel it's a choice because it's learned behavior. You could choose to turn up, you could choose not to. I mean, it's not like this is something that's part of our DNA code that we're stamped as an alpha versus a beta. I feel like people gravitate toward things that like suit them as far as their natural selection of who they are. So, do they have to be? I think that it's all situational where, yeah, they can be. You know, a woman can be an alpha, a man can be an alpha, a man can be a beta, a woman can be a beta. I think it's all about that person on who they define, who they want to be, you know? And I think a lot of people don't sit down and think about who they are. Like, some people like being aggressive. Some people like associating who they are with accolades and things like that. Good for them. That's how I define alpha. Or type A. Type B, somebody that's assertive, more chill, calm. In some cases, you could maybe even say docile, depending on how you look at it, but that's a type B. A lot of times I think it's situational. Some people are type A at work, type B at home.
Yeah.
Some people are type A at home and type B at work based on the function of their job. So is it a necessity? I mean, is it something they have to do? I think it's based on the situation. We're talking about in a relationship. I think it depends on their mate. You mentioned it, Anton, like, hey, a type A, maybe a complementary piece is dating somebody that's a type B. A type B personality, somebody that's more flexible, adaptive. If we talk about an alpha, they're very headstrong, right? They know what they know. Everything is from a very absolute aspect. So,
but the terms matter. So, like, for example, are you into sports, Knicks?
Yep.
Have you ever seen a beta man lead a team to a championship? I'm just saying, the terms matter. Like, we're not gonna act like just because society don't like our terms that it's not real. Like, terms matter. I've never seen a beta male lead a team to a championship.
As much as we make jokes and memes about Kawhi Leonard did lead the Raptors to a championship, being like, you could say Derrick Rose.
But my point is that
you want to define him as beta.
Well, Derrick Rose has never won a championship, number one. But my point is that
Kawhi Leonard did.
But the point is that it's not about whether or not you're loud or aggressive that defines you as an alpha male. You can move in a certain type of way and don't say nothing, and people respect you because they understand your qualities that define you as a leader. So it's not whether you're assertive or aggressive. It's about the actions by which you take that highlight whether or not people are going to look at you this way or they're going to look at you that way. So I would say that Kawhi is very much an alpha, but it's not defined by how you speak or what you say. It's defined by the actions that back up what it is that you do.
It is learned behavior, though. So again, it's like it goes back to like
it's not. It's survival. Right? It's survival.
It's like how you see somebody that may be the dominant person that's on the court, right, for a particular team, and then they take a secondary role on another team. That shows this situational, right? So D Wade was the alpha on the Miami Heat, right? But then when LeBron got there, you could say he became the beta. He became the secondary player, right?
D Wade was never the alpha. If you look at those teams, he was never the vocal leader. He was never the leader in the locker room. He was the talent. But he was not the leader of those teams. He wasn't.
That's perspective. I disagree with you.
I agree with you.
But we're not here to talk about sports, though. But I get where you're going. So to me, I think whether you're alpha or beta, it depends on the situation. It's situational. Because some people are alphas at work.
Because D-Wade did win some championships.
And the thing is, so can we go here again with this? Because I've been trying not to talk about it. But again, this is another binary viewpoint, Anton, that it has to be very this or that. You can't be both. Right? I know you don't live. You live in a very absolute world, a very matter of fact
black
world,
or white.
And it can't be ambiguous, you know. So that's the only part where I challenge where how to respond.
Yeah, I mean, either you're a winner, either you're a winner or you're a loser. I don't give participating trophies. Either you won or you lost.
Well, if we define if we stand with the sports theme, right, and we talk about Kawhi Leonard, much as we talk about memes about the way he laughed, the thing is, he's a very quiet individual, very reserved individual. You could say even docile. And technically, if we talk about type B, that would be in alignment with the characteristic of a type B
I
personality.
don't think he's docile
at his workplace, he led the Raptors to a championship. So then he became a type A for that situation. But when he played in San Antonio, he was a type B because he wasn't the man. Tim Duncan was the man. So, I mean, it goes back to situations. But see, I know why you mad, though. You mad because I'm not agreeing with you. And whenever I don't agree with you, you be big mad about what I have to say. I gave your ass a book of definitions.
Oh,
and
my
anything,
God.
I educated your ass this evening on shit that you didn't even know. But the thing is, just because you didn't know and it didn't come out of your mouth, now you're mad. But I'll let you have
I love it.
I'm gonna address that later. I'm gonna let Tawana go.
Thank
No,
you,
you
guys.
addressing now, man. You're an alpha, right? You're an alpha.
Ooh.
I am.
I am,
but I didn't want
I
to.
would love to hear this.
I didn't want to embarrass you on camera, so I'm trying to let Tawana go. So I'm gonna let you feel good about yourself. I'm gonna let you feel good about yourself.
A whole mess.
We all know what the hierarchy is, but go ahead, Tawana.
Oh my God, I love.
Here you go.
You know what?
Hey, you do that on purpose, bro. I hate shit like hierarchy, and I just said that. You a button presser, man. I know what you try to do.
Are you an
man.
alpha?
B-Nix know what I am. What am I, B-Nix?
Oh, you said Anton. You're asking him, is he an alpha?
B-Nix, what am I?
Which means it's not clear to you.
What am I, B-Nix?
I'm just saying, because you wouldn't ask if it was clear. If you knew what he was, you wouldn't ask, right?
She know what I am.
just saying.
You know,
she know what I
know
am. You know what I am, and B-Nix know what I am too.
I didn't ask you, Anton. She did. I mean, I didn't ask you what you are. I'm just saying it may not be clear.
We all know what the hierarchy is. Let's be clear.
Let me address this because a lot of people are making comments about my relationship status and my marital status, and I just want to make this very clear that I am in a relationship. Yes, it is, and that I am in a relationship, and that I am getting married in a few months. So just FYI, Mister. I am getting married, so I do have a place on this show to talk about my experience.
Oh my God!
So let's move next, and then let's talk about this entire alpha and beta thing because I disagree.
Y'all gotta get off that, man.
Please, y'all need to, because I don't know if you don't see my ring on my finger, but maybe you missed it. But that's okay. I'll just keep on talking anyway. The alpha and beta thing, to me, you all know how I feel about that. I don't believe in an alpha or beta, male or female. So I do agree with what you said, B-Nix, about type A and type B personality. And I do think that's very real. Like, I think there's different personality types. I think that, some people are a little bit, more aggressive than others. I think some people think differently from others. I think they have different personality traits, and that makes them who they are. Now, as the rise of feminism came, I think that a lot of people felt like feminism changed women. What I believe is that women did not want to be defined or put in a box. Like, I think that women did want to explore other things, and they wanted to have freedom not to just be a housewife or be a mother. As you can see, some women choose not to do those things. Some women don't want to be, married. Some women don't want to have children. So I think that women just wanted options, right? I think there's a lot of us who want to be married and who want to have kids and who want to embrace our nurturing side. And I just think there's so many people who that's not a natural thing for them, right? And some people just don't want to do that. And so I do believe that, yes, we naturally just wanted to have other things. I don't believe that we're naturally alpha, like the question says, or that there's some, difference between this type of woman and that type of woman, to the degree of, hey, this woman is more aggressive and, more demanding, more dominating, and she wants to overpower a man, and like all these stereotypical things that you use to define what alpha is, even on the flip side, which I totally disagree that men are in this box of either you alpha or you beta. Like, I absolutely think that is the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. And I know we love to talk about alpha and beta on here, so I try to use y'all definition to my best of my ability to try and make some sense of this whole entire thing. But the only thing that I can really come to terms with is this type A and type B personality that B Nix brought up. And I think that was an interesting point. And actually, it made me think differently about this whole, idea of, how people are, how people function in relationships, how people think, how women think. But I do believe that it has absolutely nothing with us trying to overpower or dominate a man. I think that we just wanted to be able to have options to explore other things in life, to do other things, and not just run into the role of being a bride and being a mother and having this dream and playing with dolls and doing all this stuff. Like, what about the woman who likes to play football? What about the woman who likes to play basketball? What about those women? And I mean, those women, they get married and they have successful lives too. And they don't want to just be limited, based on what your idea of what a woman should be. And I think that's the whole idea of it. I do agree that there are some more dominating women, as Danielle said. I just don't call them alpha. Like, I do agree with what
do you call them?
I now that B Nix kind of said this type A and type B, I like that. I might do that. I mean, I think it's a more neutral term, and it applies to not only women but men as well. I don't think it is specific to us, and I do think that your personality is learned behavior. So it's stuff that you went through in life. It's stuff that you learned from, your upbringing, from seeing other women, from everything in life, has taught me to be who I am. So I think that, all those things matter. And that's it. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I was actually reading the comments and laughing at, some of the things that everyone else was saying. But I do agree with a lot of what B Nix said, and a lot of what you said too, Danielle. I just don't, I don't like those labels. They just drive me crazy when you guys.
I don't think that we as women, we never. Okay, women in my sorority may say this, okay, but I don't think as women we say things like that. I'm an alpha woman. We don't
talk like that.
I don't hear women say stuff like that
because it's
like,
not.
You're an alpha woman, no. It's just like
because first of all, it's going to be very offensive in woman world when you start saying stuff like that. I mean,
when you start,
it's going to be like, so what you trying to say? I'm weak. I'm like, we don't say stuff like that. That's not.
I mean, it's just not as important to us, that title of alpha. I think with men like their ego strokes. I'm sorry, I do. And so, being called an alpha makes you feel great about yourself. But for women, it's like, you call me whatever you want. I know what I bring to the table, baby. I know what kind of woman I am. I know what I got going on. I know everything that no word can validate me. Nobody on this show can validate me with their word. If you call me a beta, I'll be like, okay, but I know what I give to my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I bring to the table. So beta or not.
That's not even
that's
true.
Just how it goes,
I hate to even say this, but that's not true, because if it was true, then you wouldn't get offended by a lot of the stuff that is said on the show on a regular basis.
I get offended with what you say about women in general. It don't even apply to me. I just get offended because I know women, who are different, and like,
because it's a misrepresentation of women.
And I do think
if you say something about me,
as a woman, I am on this show, and I do feel like sometimes I can go down the pigeonhole with you guys, and I can like get on one side, and I'm like, Tawana, you really have to redirect and rethink some of these conversations. And sometimes they make me so angry, but I'm a passionate person in general, so it has nothing to do with whether I'm angry or not. Anybody in my life will tell you how passionate I am about an issue if I really feel affected by it.
You are outnumbered here.
And I'm outnumbered. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. I'm outnumbered. Exactly. And so it's hard to stay controlled when you're outnumbered, and it's just so many different, and we're trying to present one side, so I love having women. I'm always nice to every woman on the show. I don't feel no sense of competition with any woman. I don't know if that's the purpose, but I don't feel that way. I'm always pleasant and loving. And even if they disagree with me, I just love the support. So that's just how I am. I mean, it is.
Here's the key, JR. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to say that there are alpha women, which a lot of women like to say, then that means that you got to look at it from both sides and say, okay, well, what is a beta woman? But then when you ask that question, they don't want to participate in that level of the conversation anymore, because in order for there to be an alpha, there needs to be a beta. In order for there to be a leader, there needs to be followers. The point that I'm making is that if you're going to have that narrative, be able to support it by actually identifying it from both sides, not just as it pertains to what make you feel good when you want to compare yourself to men. We want to say and use these terms that men have historically been using for a long time, and that we saying there is alpha men and beta men, and we can have that discussion. Like, that is a debate for whether or not it's real or not. But all I'm saying is, if women want to insert themselves into the conversation, then be able to support it by also saying what a beta woman is too. But you can't have that conversation because women don't even think like that. Not only do they not think like that, but they don't even look at other women like that. Like, the whole idea behind.
I mean, some women have called me an alpha.
The whole idea behind is painting as in B. Nick's words, a docile woman, is also to be championed and celebrated, because there's nothing wrong with a woman moving and operating in that way. As a matter of fact,
oh my God,
a lot of men prefer women that don't operate from a position where they feel like they have to exude some level of power or showcase whatever it is that they're doing as a woman. Like, if you are naturally that, then you're naturally that. But at the same time, again, we can have a conversation, but it has to be a beta if it's going to be an alpha. You can't have an alpha by itself.
I want to say something because you brought something up, and I feel like you pointed me right in the direction of what a beta woman is. An alpha woman is a leader. A beta woman is a follower. When I really think about it, that's what it is.
But a great leader was once a phenomenal follower. That's the thing.
No,
like, we think that leaders are just leaders.
What I'm referring to is there are some women that are just strong-headed. They are leaders. And there are a whole lot of women that they can't do anything without looking to the left and the right. Should I do this? Should I do that? What you think? That's more of a beta woman. And she's always going to follow an alpha woman. Look in friend groups. You're going to see them everywhere.
Okay, well, I'm definitely an alpha then. No, I'm just playing. Well, thank you for that definition there. Yeah, I am definitely an alpha. You know, I don't really let people define me. I don't let men define me. So I am very different. I know a lot of women who really do care about that, and that's a value to them. I'm that kind of woman that's like, well, I will figure it out or get out my space. I really don't care. That's how I operate. That's how I've always been. So, you know, I guess that alpha and beta thing is just like really ridiculous to me. I just don't really get the purpose of it. I understand what people are saying, like society defines people that way, and society always wants to rank people and put people first and second. And so I think we naturally think that hierarchy is something that we have to incorporate in everyday life. And so we put women and we put men on these high and low levels, and we try to define men based on character and value, when a man can make the lowest amount of money and his character can be better than any man on this planet.
And no woman want
value higher than
that is a lie.
I just think that's just, to me, I just have a different perspective on it, I guess, in general. And so I like, you know, I look at people's character, their heart, and their family values and other things. Like, those things also make a difference to me. Like, I don't want to be with a man who disrespects his mother. I don't want to be with a man who is just like, who cursing, who ignorant, who rude, who a thug, who embrace that culture. Like, I don't want to be with certain type of men. So I don't care how much money you got, I'm not going to be with you, you know? So I think that's the difference between, like, so I don't know.
Once the women get tired of being dogged out by the high quality man or whoever you call them, they will
but what makes you
character eventually.
What makes you think that
Eventually,
the characteristic
after you realize that a man's money does not make him a good man, and you're going to deal with a whole bunch of bullshit from this man, cheating, disrespect. He may be classy on the outside,
but I see what you're doing there, Danielle. Is you changing the narrative.
True. I agree with that.
No,
because a bad person is a bad person. It doesn't have anything to do with.
I believe a lot of these high value men are dressed up garbage.
Well, that means that they're not.
They
high
have
value.
money. They have money.
No.
But they have no character.
That man on that video, I forget whatever his name is. That man is not of high value. That man, he is very disrespectful. He has a very nasty inside, and it's very difficult to listen to someone who does not have a good heart and good character.
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
I'm not missing.
No, I'm not. And this is where you're missing the point. Is because nobody defined character as a like negative character as a value by which high value men operate. Just because you're a bad person don't mean that you're a high value man. It's beta men that's pedophiles. Like, it don't mean anything.
There are alpha men that are pedophiles too.
Wait, you gotta listen. You gotta listen to get the point. The point is that high value men don't dog their women. So you using that as a talking point in order to define them is inaccurate. What I'm saying is that
I've been in the group. I've listened to I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember that man's message. And I am not coming at your character, Anton, but I have heard some things that you said, and I feel like a man of high value does not have that kind of negative view of women.
Do you even know where it came?
Attitude.
So I gotta educate you. I gotta educate you.
That's right.
Because I don't even think.
Go ahead.
I don't even think you know where.
I agree with you.
Okay.
You don't even know where it comes from.
Okay.
Like it comes from historically and survival techniques as it relates to society. So historically, people have had to survive, and in order for a tribe or a group of people to survive, there needed to be men that operated a certain type of way to make the difficult decisions.
And I understand
the person. So as it relates to that, nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the technology and the way in which we live. Women, and I will tell you, and even Tawana, because I've heard you say it on this show, you would not have talked to a dude that wasn't at a certain level or didn't have itself together financially. All those are qualities of high value men. So for us to say that character is the defining factor, when we know that character alone is not enough for a woman to be able to follow behind a guy, is inaccurate. Like, come on, let's be real.
Women should be defining who is high value, not the man.
That's right.
They do. And you know how they do? They don't do based off of these conversations.
Because my definition is different from that definition.
Yeah, but your actions speak to mine.
It wasn't
the actions of women speak to what I say.
It wasn't
not what we saying on Facebook. That's what matters.
It wasn't
when women come up, they go for guys.
It wasn't based on what
that's what they go for.
He financially brought to the table. Because if that was the case, then I would have stayed in other relationships where, I dated millionaires and such. That wasn't what it was. Okay. I'm telling you that it was totally different for why I chose that person. And it had a lot to do with family values and character and our interaction and the way we communicated and like that atmosphere, that whole entire, it wasn't solely based on, oh, he's making all this money. Because honestly, those things happened later in the relationship where like our lifestyles changed and everything happened. So I don't agree with that. That's all I'm saying. I don't agree.
The divorce rate says that the number one reason why people get divorced is over money. So I'm tired of people telling me that money don't matter. I'm tired of people acting like all of these characteristics don't play a role. And so when I say stuff like these are the characteristics of a high value man and high value men define certain things, we don't base it off of what women say and what women think. We're not gonna wait for women to define us because it's the actions that determine whether or not we high value or not. So it don't matter what women is saying. They picking winners like us. That's what happens.
There are so many women that divorce these high value men. Women file for divorce more than men.
That's right.
It's probably like 80-90% women. Men rarely are the ones that's filing for divorce. Okay.
Definitely.
So we're picking them and then divorcing them. And then
Well,
women get wet.
My ex-husband was
lower
working.
income man.
My ex-husband was working when I divorced him. I was unemployed.
Okay, you were like,
but here's
the judge
the
even said, the judge even said,
you think you picking
sure
high value men, but those men are really betas. Y'all don't even know what a high value man is. How can you?
If a high value man is,
I do know what it is. I don't acknowledge
the man that you speak of. Honey, please, who wants them?
I don't acknowledge it. I do agree with you.
No,
I know what you're saying.
I'm winning. I'm winning in every way, shape,
I don't
or form.
acknowledge that terminology of high value men. I just don't. I do understand what a high value man is, and
these
I've heard
very women that's in the group that you think is disagreeing with me. I'm telling you that it's not that way. They very much agreeing with me. It's very different from what people are presenting.
I mean, that's okay if they do. I mean, they can agree with whoever they want to agree with. I don't think that they right. and a lot of them
that I agree on is that a very small percentage of women are going to.
A lot of them are looking for love.
Supposed high value men. Very small.
I'm just saying, you got to be. People got to be open to other people's ideas and understanding of life, because if they just listen to you, they gonna be stuck in a little box.
If they listen to me, they gonna win in everything they ever tried to do in their life.
No, not at all.
Listen to me, they're gonna be great.
No.
Well,
fellas,
I'm definitely living my best life right now. I'm gonna make you great. I ain't listening to nothing Anton telling me. So I'm just gonna tell y'all the truth.
All right, y'all.
Well, Anton, can we see the receipts? What woman have you coached who married a high value man and she's happy?
JR know about him. Ask him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, tell me about him. I would love to hear.
Please, let's see the receipts. Give us the receipts.
Give me one example.
I've made more men millionaires, and I've made women phenomenal wives. That's what I've done.
So you believe you can make a woman? You're a man saying that you can make a woman a phenomenal woman.
I can change your life.
Like men tell women,
I can change your life.
Teach a man how to be a man when you're a woman. You can't teach a woman how to be a wife.
You can't.
I don't believe your life.
I don't believe no man can teach a woman how to be a wife. Period.
You can't.
I mean, I think she just gets defined by whatever her man think is a wife supposed to be, instead of actually embracing her natural talents and doing what she knows naturally to do as a woman. I don't believe no man can tell me anything about being a woman. Not one thing. That's probably why I don't listen to the men. That's why I get a little agitated, because I'd be like, "How you gonna tell me about being a woman?"
Right.
I agree. I agree with that. Girl, you could come back. When you gonna come back? I love you.
Whenever.
Jay, I wish you coming back on the show.
All right, y'all. Great conversation tonight. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate our guest Danielle for sitting in on us. If you guys don't know, our YouTube channel is Lapeef Let's Talk. All you got to do is put Lapeef Let's Talk in the search and it'll pop right up. Please subscribe, share our page. Good conversations there. And set the notifications so you don't miss a video. Until next time, we out.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Take care.